Pod Candy!
A podcast about cults, crimes, and killers. In Unknown Number, High School Catfish on Netflix, one of the most surprising stories isn't about teenagers pretending to be someone else.
The fake profile at the center of this case was created by someone much closer and far more unexpected than anyone realized.
What started out as casual online messages grew into a complicated web of lies and manipulation, leaving real emotional consequences for the students involved.
This documentary shows how catfishing doesn't always come from the places you'd expect, and how devastating it can be when trust is broken in such a personal way.
Today, we'll walk through how the deception unfolded, the impact it had, and what this story reveals about the hidden dangers of online identities.
Outside my window, it's only raining. When the wind blows, I feel pain. I don't need no doctor, baby, I'm not sick. My body's been locked up, heartbroken ever since.
Dun, dun, dun!
This was really intense, this one. I watched it twice in like a matter of a week. Unknown Caller, High School Catfish on Netflix, as we said. A catfishing story. This is our second catfishing episode, but this is a very, very, very different one. Dori, what are your thoughts about what we watched, and how do you feel about it? It was really upsetting.
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say whenever you finish, when we record our intro right before we start talking about the documentary that we watch. So every time Stacey ends, I do always in my mind, and today I verbally said dun dun dun, because I really feel, especially for this one, it
is a dun dun dun.
It needs a dun dun dun.
Because it's crazy.
It's insane. And okay, so we all get on Netflix or Prime or, Max, or now it's HBO, whatever your choice, platform choice is. And I saw it come up like on Netflix, but I didn't think, whatever. It didn't like really hit me. And then somebody posted on social media about it, and they had like a bit of a conversation about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I think I should watch it. Now, it's about kids. Like essentially it's about catfishing for kids that really started in junior high through like a little bit of high school. They were young, they still are young kids, right? I think it started when they were like, this whole incident started when they were like 13, 14, something like that.
Yeah, and it was still going on when they were 15. This kind of constant messaging to both the girl and her boyfriend.
Yeah. So Lauryn and Owen, right? Like they're the kids.
Yes.
But the reason, like I was saying that just because that's not normally my jam. Like I'm not like looking for, a lot of like documentaries, maybe about like adolescent teenagers. However, this was one of the most astonishing stories that I have ever seen. And there will be spoilers, everybody, because should we just, reveal because...
After, before you reveal that, remember that these text messages were extremely sexual in nature. and almost written by another teenager. The way they were written felt like it was a teenager, LUV, suck, SUK, like I think that there's a psychosis with the person that was writing them, almost a character. It was almost like a character that they were playing, or maybe another personality, because when you find out who the person is, which I'm going to let you say in a second, it blows your mind. It blows your mind. And they interviewed every single kid that could have been there, could have seen her phone, knew her number, knew where she was, knew where Owen was, knew where Lauryn was. And there was the call was coming from inside the house.
They knew what I was doing in class, I feel like.
Fucking trash, bitch. Don't fucking wear leggings. Ain't no one want to see your anorexic flat ass.
I would question what I wear to school, how I look, how's my hair. Definitely affected how I thought about myself.
You are worthless and mean nothing. You never have. Get a fucking life out of here. Owen will never look at you again or talk to you. You fucked his life up so bad. His family fucking hates you for it, and he will never in his life acknowledge you again. Get the fuck lost, bitch. He's fucking done with you.
Lauryn came home from school one day and she just had this look on her face and attitude, and I'm like, what's going on? She's like, no, I just got this dumb text at school.
I was just getting super frustrated with it, but my mom was like, just ignore them. Obviously, you're beautiful. She was just encouraging me to not read them.
I told her just to keep being her and just not even worry about anything, right? I didn't believe anybody would do anything harmful.
And then it started to get worse and worse.
These are children that are 13, 14, 15 years old in this very small town in Michigan, 30 people in their class. And one day, the documentary centers around this girl named Lauryn and her boyfriend, Owen, who have grown up with each other. They've known each other for years. They date, but again, 30 people in their class. So everybody knows each other. And they start getting these texts to both of them that are, as Stacey mentioned, they sound like a kid, but they are vile. They are extremely sexually explicit. We're going to say some words here, but it's literally what is the one? My fingers in your pussy. It's disgusting kind of stuff. Plus, they start as the texts go on, they start talking about killing the kids. You should kill yourself.
Kill yourself now, bitch. His life would be better if you were dead.
When I first read that, I was totally in shock. Made me definitely feel sad. I was in a bad mental state. This is getting bad.
There's some sick messages. Lauryn needs to go kill herself. She shouldn't be alive. She shouldn't be at this school anymore.
So, Stacey, here's the thing. We've all gotten one of those random texts, right, in the middle of the night that's hey, you up, from an unknown number, right? And you're yeah, who is this? A booty call. But yeah. These were thousands of texts. Every day they said they'd get 40 to 50 texts.
40 to 50 texts. And there were about 700 pages of text messages that they had to go through. And they were disgusting. They were weird. They were encouraging the breakup. They were driving these people crazy, Lauryn and Owen and everyone around them, including their parents, including anybody else that was involved. And like some of the kids in the school were like, we don't know what you're talking about. But they had to interview all these people to get through to who it actually was. Dun, dun, dun. Dori.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, wait, I just want to say one thing first. So also, like, they have to get the school involved because this is literally harassment. Like, they're getting these texts at all hours of the night. They just never stop. And they're to children. And the parents of both of the kids, you know, plead to the school for some help. I have to say that the principal seemed like cool and with it. But was it that superintendent? Hello, media lover. Like, hello. Like they showed like a little clip of him, I think on the Today Show. Like, he seemed a little cray to me, right? To you? I don't know.
He was working the camera.
He was working it, right?
Uh-huh.
So, okay. So I'm just going to say it. So, I mean, you go through, it's a quick hour and a half view. And obviously when we bring the doctor out, I know he's going to have a lot of, I think we're both going to have a lot of questions for him because of the psyche of somebody that can do this. Let's just reveal, after years of looking to see who is doing this to the kids, after bringing in the FBI, this went on for like 2 years. After bringing in the FBI, it turns out it is the girl, Lauryn's mother.
The next thing I do is I take a look at the phone number that was sending these messages and try to determine what company owned this phone number. I did some research and found out that at least one of them came from Pinger, some application that people use to disguise their phone number. I submitted a search warrant to Pinger, and they gave me 2 IP addresses that belong to a Verizon network. So at this point, I submitted a search warrant to Verizon for information on these 2 IP addresses. Tuesday, May 23rd, Verizon did send me the search warrant results back, and they gave me a several-page document with what phone numbers were attached to these 2 IP addresses.
He called me one day and told me that they got the list of phone numbers from the IP address and wanted me to give him any phone number from any possible suspect. So we just dumped contacts.
And then I found one phone number that kept coming up, being connected to that IP address at the time these messages were sent. And the phone number was Lauryn's mom, Kendra.
Yep.
The mother is doing this. Texting.
Bum, bum,
Bum, bum. She's, I think, my personal opinion, I don't know, like, Stacey, you tell me, but she seemed like she needed a lot of help and still does. And hopefully is getting help. But I also want to say one thing. When I texted Stacey about this and we were going back and forth, I forgot the name of, it felt like Lauryn, the girl, I felt like she had, and Stacey came up with the word because I couldn't think of it, was Stockholm syndrome, because the way she talked about her mother after her mother was telling her to kill herself constantly, telling her she's an anorexic bitch, calling her all kinds of disgusting names. And she still stands for her mom and still speaks so highly of her. That's disgusting. And Stacey just showed her the cutest dog that she recently got. But Stacey, talk to me about the mother and the relationship with Lauryn, or Lo, as she is known.
Lo. First of all, you see the mother interviewed for the first hour, and before you find out, she does, there was a little bit something off about her, but she's just a woman that is upset, and obviously feels emotional. And Owen's mom is extremely upset. I mean, she feels betrayed. She feels deceived. She just feels sick. how do you even take in and process this kind of a crime? And also the Stockholm thing, as we were talking about, Lauren's relation. Lauryn loves her mother. She loves her mother. And it was a very strange thing when they told the husband it was the mother, and she was sitting in the chair, Lauryn, and the mother was standing up, and then the mother starts hugging and embracing her daughter. And there's just this sick sort of like dysfunctional, did they call it cyber-Munchausen?
I think wasn't that the was that the superintendent as well that called it that?
I was like, what is this
that
a real
guy.
thing?
So that
guy, so our audience should know that Munchausen is when you make yourself sick or make yourself injured for attention. By proxy is when a person does it to you. Most of the time it happens to be a parent. Everybody knows Gypsy Rose, not Lee, the other one. Not Let Me Entertain You, Gypsy Rose. So that Munchausen by cyber-Munchausen, similar. It's like she wanted to make her feel as badly as she could so that she would come to her mother and she could support her. And it was a cycle of sort of this abuse and then pulling, the mother pulling her in. Please forgive me. What is the mother's name again?
I don't even remember. I just call her the
Lorraine.
mother.
Lorraine?
I didn't even put her name down because I didn't even want to give her the respect of a name. I just kept saying the mother.
Let me tell you something, John. It's Kendra. Thank you, Kendra. So John, we don't let him out of his hole until we're ready for him, but he just informed us Kendra, which is a cute, sweet name. So Kendra is it's unexplainable. Do you think
let's just also bring up too, there is the fact that, they're all speculating why she would do this to her daughter. And one of the main reasons comes up is, was she infatuated
with Owen,
Kendra's boyfriend? Owen, bingo.
No, Lauren's boyfriend.
Lauren's boyfriend. Sorry. I know that Kendra just came up, and I'm like, Kendra. No,
everything Kendra says is a lie.
Yes, she lied to the family. She lied. The husband thought she was working. She hasn't been working for years. And is she so sick that she really liked Lowe's boyfriend? This teenager, he said she would cut his food for him. She would go to his baseball games. And even when they had broken up, she was always around. Okay, I think you were going to say it. I do think we should bring in the doctor.
But do you think that the mother, Kendra, thought she was like a kid? I think she was infantilized. There's infantilization of not of herself. Like I'm part of the kids. I'm a kid, because even how she talks, she's like got these buck teeth, and she's like, well, I was anorexic. I wasn't eating, so I called her anorexic. It's like,
right. But she wore like kind of like more younger clothes.
Yes.
She seemed like she wants to be one of the kids.
Right. No judgment on who judging, yes, but no, I'm not criticizing that happened to her. But I just think that, when your mother can step into the role of like a teen, there's something disturbed about her. So,
yeah. And if your mother tells you to kill yourself, then if your mother tells you you're an anorexic bitch over and over and over again, and then she says, oh no, Lauryn knows she's not.
Lauryn wouldn't do it.
Lauryn wouldn't kill herself.
No.
Lauryn would.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's bring out, this is ripe for the doctor. We got to bring in the doctor.
All right, are we opening the door?
Bubble.
Knock, 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 knock. Dr. John.
Oh, boy, it was getting kind of warm in that room here today.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, we'll turn the air up. So what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, my God, this is
I know,
Dori
crazy
and a half. It is so sick. It's so evil. I was just praising both of you for picking this story, because it just was shocking, and it's an incredible story. And also, I always like to comment on the making of these documentaries. This was the closest one that would almost take our jobs away here, because I liked how they went into the backstory and the unraveling of this crime, emphasize. They really gave us a little more meat than other documentaries, but not enough, as we will talk about, because I think we have some really good insights here as to what's behind this horrible crime that was committed. And by the way, you both didn't mention, but I think it's worth mentioning another aspect of this, which different from, remember our Sweet Bobby catfishing story, how nobody really had some dramatic consequences for what they did. This mom went away for 19 months to jail, and I was like almost applauding that when the documentary mentioned that. So there was some justice here. But so that's my comments on the documentary. And since you revealed who the perpetrator was, I took some pride in myself, and Stacey took a little bit of the wind out of my sails of this comment. When I saw this Kendra online, I was saying to myself, there is something, psychologically off with this woman. There was just something that had my psychologist ears, radar up. And true enough, it turns out that she was the criminal behind all this. And I keep using that word. This is a horrible crime committed to these kids, their friends who were accused at some point of being the perpetrators, especially this one young lady, Chloe, who held some parties that Lauryn wasn't invited to, and they thought, okay, she's got an axe to grind. And the investigation focused on this Chloe for a while, and her parents were just also devastated. So, it's another example to our audience that when these things happen, it's just not some little isolated family group that gets victimized. It's a whole bunch of people that this spreads to. And so I thought you both did a great job of talking about that. I also thought I wanted to get back to, I think it was Stacey that brought up that scene where the police came to the house and revealed that it was the mother who was behind all this. I just thought that was such a powerful scene. I mean, it was like, oh my God. And another praise to these documentarians, the footage that they got, the live footage is unparalleled. They were there at the unraveling of this thing, and they were live scenes. They were there as the FBI investigated and dug into the numbers that the phone numbers that were the calls, the texts were emanating from, which is another cautionary tale to our audience. If you're thinking of doing something like this, you can be found out. It may take a little bit, but you can be found out. But a couple of comments I also had, and I wondered about both of your comments on why at the beginning when this started, why didn't these parents take these phones away and say, you know what? You're 13 years of age. We're giving you the privilege of these phones, but this is so crazy. We're not just shutting them down like they did at some point, but just literally, you can't have a phone. That's what will stop this. Take the phone away. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, I don't think that mother wanted her to get her phone taken away because that would have taken away her fun.
Right.
I mean, not that she was having fun. I mean, she was obviously tormented. But how does somebody continue this on and see their child in so much pain unless they're really what is the psychological situation?
Well, This clearly is a very disturbed woman. And I don't know if you want me to reveal at this early stage of our broadcast here what I think is the key, which the documentary missed. That, as Dori pointed out, the superintendent, who I agree was kind of a, publicity hound. He came up with this cyber-Munchausen. Oh, that's clever. And it goes a little bit deeper than that. Sure, there's Munchausen aspects to this, but a Munchausen's mom would have brought Lauryn or Lo into psychiatric treatment and bring her in for evaluations. This is what Munchausen people do. They dawdle over the child and love the medical attention and the professional attention that the child is getting. So I think this goes much, much deeper than that. But I'm going to reserve that for a little bit because I think that's a little more dramatic analysis. But this mom is very, very sick. And I think I have the genesis, or what we call etiology, of what happened to her, that she turned this way. But other questions before I get there. What other questions do you both have for me?
So I think you had mentioned Chloe. I mean, I think what was like very sad to me was that these kids were interrogated. They were not believed sometimes, and it really impacted their lives. They're still young kids. I think Owen's cousin, Adriana, right?
Mm-hmm.
They thought it was her for a while because she, there was like more of a popular group, and then she wasn't in that. So they thought maybe she was like getting back at them.
But also Adriana was at the party, the Christmas party, and could have seen, she's the only kid that was at that party where she could have seen her phone.
Right.
So there was like a picture on Lo's phone.
From the perpetrator, from the quote unquote unknown caller. Yeah.
Right.
Lauryn or Lo got a picture from the perpetrator, the one who was doing all the texts, showing Owen's Christmas gift that he got on Christmas. And that's when things got kind of tight in the investigation. That's got to be somebody who was there at
and Adriana was there.
The call is coming from inside the house. Yeah. But I did have a question though about that, like, because, Adriana, when she was interviewed for the documentary, she was obviously very affected by this whole thing, that they accused her of this and said that she really doesn't trust, police. I don't think they really didn't go into, were these children, you just brought this up, John, with that getting like some type of psychiatric help. It didn't go into if any of these kids have gotten any type of therapy whatsoever. And this sounds like this was traumatic for them for years.
It was one of my biggest concerns after watching the documentary, is that where's the help for all these people? The help for Lauryn or Lo, Kendra. There's no mention at all that anybody got any psychological help after all this. And certainly that help would have to go into Adriana, Chloe, the parents involved. I mean, that's what I mean about this wide net that's cast by such a crime that was committed to these kids. These kids are devastated. Owen talked at the end, the boyfriend that was the center of things, talked at the end about how he's had a number of broken relationships because of this, and he'll never forget it, and he'll never be the same, which happens quite frequently in these cases.
Think about Lauryn's reaction, her demeanor throughout the whole documentary, and at the end where they disclose it is her mother doing it, and they obviously do a follow-up, after the whole thing went down. What do you think about how she reacted to everything?
I really thought both of you were taking my my role away from these podcasts because I think you nailed it. We can talk about this Munchausen thing and debunk that, but I think you nailed the Stockholm syndrome. And you see this in kids. I have seen, some of the kids that I've treated who have horrendous parents and have been abused by parents. But then a couple of years after the epicenter of the abuse, I want to have a relationship with my mom or my dad, and because having a mom in my life is important. And I don't really know why, but I want to. And that comes from our socialization as people. We get, I think sometimes it's a myth. We get brainwashed that, well, it's important to have a mommy and daddy in your life or Grammy and grandpa. And they might be the most horrible people in the whole world, abused you, scarred you for life. One of the things that I work with people on in therapy is that if a person doesn't add to your life, what do you really need them in your life for? This is not the way life should go. And I felt that for Lauryn is that, well, this is where she needs some treatment, some good treatment, is that what does that look like to have this person in your life? And by the way, a note, which was very small in the documentary, but at the point of making the documentary, Kendra was not allowed to see Lauryn, which was, I think, good,
I do too.
Because
yeah.
As Stacey pointed out about that dramatic scene when everything was revealed, and Kendra just kind of comes up and does almost an absolutely smothering hug to.
It was gross. It was really gross.
Bizarre. And I also do agree with both of you when you pointed out that Kendra was vicariously living as a teenager through all this.
Yeah.
And again, I like Dori's, which I'm going to echo, her caveat that, we're not here to knock how anybody looks or how they dress, but it was clear that Kendra, she had Daisy Dukes on, a sleeveless top and et cetera. She looked like she was trying to be a teenager. That's clearly part of her sickness, which I'm going to get to, a cliffhanger here.
Yay, I can't wait.
A few minutes.
Yeah, I was just reading a little bit about it online just to get to see where Lauryn is now. She's 18. And she and Owen are no longer in contact, and she's rebuilding a relationship with her dad, Sean. I mean, they're really working on their relationship, and she's trying to move forward with her life and, without, I don't know, with or without her mother. I mean, I think she and her mother aren't really in contact. And she's an only child. Am I correct?
Think so. They didn't show anybody else.
Yeah, they didn't show any other.
Right. I mean, if there was another kid, that would be weird because
I have a question. I'm no, telecommunication technologist here. Can't you block a number? How did all those texts keep coming through constantly? I get it. You're supposed to get rid of the phone. They didn't do that. We all don't know why the parents didn't do that, but can't you just block it?
I have an answer to that because I faced this in my career. As you all know, I deal with some very dangerous and criminal people. And every once in a while, one of these bad people will get my cell phone number and I get abusive calls. Well, you ruined my life. You put me away, blah, blah, blah. And so here's the deal. On your cell phone, you can block numbers on your cell phone, but drum roll, everyone, that's not enough. People can still get through. They can get through via text. They can send you texts. They can send you voicemails, but the call won't go through. So I discovered something, and this is a great tip for the audience. I discovered something. I have it's not a big revelation. I have a T-Mobile account. And T-Mobile, and I'm sure all the carriers have this, it's called a family allowance. So it's not enough for you to go into your settings and block a number. Again, the call won't get through, but they can still text and leave a voicemail. But call your carrier and say, in the case of T-Mobile, it's called a family allowance, and they have the capacity to block everything. You will not get texts, you will not get voicemails, calls won't go through, and that's the way to cleanly and thoroughly block numbers.
Great tip. I'm going to do that right after we stop recording this. Literally,
Yeah.
I'm getting on it.
Yeah.
I mean, these are hot takes from Dr. John. Tips and tricks.
Well, just
for the
experience.
biz.
I was plagued by a couple of them years ago and did everything, and then and by the way, sometimes the first customer service person you get on your carrier doesn't know what the hell they're doing. That's another tip. So you got to really insist. Yes, you have a mechanism to totally shut this down. And you might even reference, if you're not on T-Mobile, you can reference, T-Mobile calls it a family allowance. Funny name for this. But I think it was initially started because, drum roll, of kids, and teenagers playing around with things like that. So, yeah. And another, I think, tip for parents is if you follow this story, these horrible criminal texts were coming in. I would have physically taken those phones away from the kids and saying, this is your phone usage is inappropriate. I'm sorry you're being victimized. I'm sorry you can't have a cell phone. But that would have shut this down.
But how were they going to do that when she was,
Right.
She could have had her phone and said, look at these texts that are coming in.
Right. In this case, it was because it
in
was
this
the
case,
mom doing it.
right,
There's no way
yeah.
she was going to physically take away the phone. But Owen's mom could have certainly taken away his phone and helped shut this down. But I'm sure Kendra would have just found other excuses to send these vile, dangerous texts to her daughter. As Dori pointed out before I got out of the green room, the mother was saying frequently, kill yourself. You don't deserve to be on this earth. Now's the time, or we'll do it, or we'll come after you. What horrible, horrible things to say. And again, I was applauding when that judge, they showed the court scene, and the judge said, this is beyond anything that I've seen in this, a horrible crime. You're getting the maximum that I can sentence you.
Let's also remember that Kendra, the mother, never fully copped to starting this from the beginning. So the text started, and maybe the mother, is claiming, oh, somebody else started the texting, which is bullshit, as we all know. The Lauryn was being called low, and the mother called her low all the time. So it's definitely the mother from the beginning. I don't care who says what. It was definitely her from
Agreed.
the very.
I agree.
Yeah,
that
we
was
all
such
agree.
bullshit. It's like, how did that help the situation? So you
Yeah,
continued it?
they didn't really.
You continued it?
No, and they didn't really question her about that, but to have all that time on your hands, she said, I think, and John, you can tell me if I'm wrong, she said it got away from me.
So the first text message started around Halloween.
And did you send those text messages?
No, those ones I did not. It wasn't until way later on. So the messages kind of stopped for a little bit, and then they picked back up. In my mind, I'm like, how long do we let this go on? What do I do as a parent? Honestly, the best way would have been to stop it by shutting her cell phone down, right? But then I was like, well, why should she have to do that? Why should I have to get her a new cell phone? because of someone else's actions, right? I really wanted to get to the bottom of who it was, right? And that's when I started sending the text messages to Lauryn and Owen. I was sending the messages in hopes that maybe they would send back asking, is this somebody or is this so-and-so, to just kind of give me something, right? And then also hoping that as they maybe talked about the messages amongst like their friend groups and stuff, that something might come up that could help pinpoint, where they were originating from. I started in the thoughts of, we need some answers. And then it just kept going. It was a spiral, kind of a snowball effect. I don't think I knew how to stop. I was somebody different in those moments. I was in an awful place mentally. It was like I had a mask on or something. I don't even know who I was. Sometimes it was an hour a day or 8 hours a day. I let it consume me.
First of all, there's no excuse for starting the texting, but then to send that many throughout the day for years. I think, John, you were, kind of teasing what you think about Kendra, but I think this is a good time just to tell us, what type of a person is this who can do this for that long to their child? They live in a small community. To me, and I'm, I don't know what the diagnosis is, I would just say she's nuts.
Yeah. Well, that's, a clinical term that I often use. Yeah. Well, I'm really proud of our broadcasts because we really can dig deep and get behind what's happening here. And here we go. A very small, or very, quick statement was made by Kendra after the whole thing was revealed. And in fact, she was out of prison. She talked about being raped at 17. So to remind the audience, Kendra, the mom, was raped when she was 17 years of age. When she said that, I was looking at her face and her expression. That was where the damage was done. She was raped, she was, victimized. It could have been brutal. I would have loved, again, here we are, criticizing the documentary, but I would have loved if they went into, how brutally she was raped. I got a feeling that she was brutally raped at 17, which leads to what? I think she hated men. I think she hates men. When her daughter gets involved at middle school with Owen, and remember they were called the golden couple because they're so cute. Both athletes, good students. They were the golden couple at the Beal High School, I think it was, or middle school. I think that anger and rage against men came out. The other little tidbit that gave me evidence was when she talked about getting pregnant. And if you recall how she talked about getting pregnant, well, when you don't have much in your life, and I think she even said something to the effect, and may help me here, I'm kind of, there's no love and affection in my marriage, I'm paraphrasing. And then I get this wonderful gift of a child, etc. So that means, again, let's go back to the rape. So this was not a marital relationship that was loving and could repair what happened to her from a man. And I think the epicenter of what's going on here is that she didn't want her daughter to have any involvement with a man, a guy, whether it be Owen, etc., because she was so angry at men, hates men, and that's her valence, and that's why the strength of it. That's why the 40 some texts a day, etc., is that anger and rage against men.
What about, so then what about the alleged infatuation with Owen? If she hates men, and I know Owen was a child at that time, but do you think it has to do with then the 17 and kind of like being infatuated with like children and also too, John, with her husband? I mean, I guess they seem to have a decent relationship up
I don't know.
until before the unknown caller stuff.
Let me interrupt, Dori.
You don't think so?
I don't think they had an idyllic, relationship. I think it was very distant. All the images and even the live video of them together was very kind of.
Well, no, but from the beginning, like that's what I'm saying. Like if she really really does not like men, because I like the theory, like I'm into it. I'm just curious, like then why would she be so obsessed with a 14-year-old boy?
I don't think it was obsession. I think that was a misleading part of the documentary. Here's what would operate. What we're talking about, audience, is that there was this one little statement made that she was so daunting over Owen that she would cut his meat when he was over at their house, and she was always at his games. Well, she was at the games because she was at all the games in the high school. She was the scorekeeper. She was a coach. So being at the games and watching Owen wasn't as important, and I don't think that was obsession. This whole, take a look at cutting meat. What is that? That's infantilizing. Again, hates men, not little boys. Hates men. So I'm going to treat Owen like a little boy, and he's just a little friend, a little, playmate and friend of Lauryn. But when it got more serious, they get into high school. They're the golden couple. She's in a beautiful prom kind of dress. He's in a nice suit with a boutonniere. Now it's getting to be dating and more adult-like. That's when the texts start.
How's the happy couple? Preparing for the end of the golden relationship? We hear about how you are the forever couple. Owen loves me, and I will always be the girl he loves. He will be with me while your lonely, ugly ass is alone.
It seemed like the text messages were trying to break me and Owen up. I knew it wasn't somebody I knew because I would have had their phone number saved in my phone.
There was no reason for it, Like the first text was for the Halloween party. Like this just happened. And then we got more.
I wanted them to answer the phone so we could maybe figure out who it was. But they would just text us right after we called them. They would never answer the phone.
Bruh, Lo, stop fucking calling. Ain't answering.
He's a little boy, and I can infantilize him and cut his little meat, and they're little playmates, and they have little birthday parties together. That's okay with Kendra out of her sickness. He becomes a man, boom. And that's when the vile text started. I'm going to put my finger in your pussy and all this kind of stuff. He becomes a man, therefore an object of hatred. Boom.
I don't even know if I have anything left to say.
It is, it's an incredible story, and
it is
so many lessons for the audience. I mean, if you have kids, here's another thing all of us didn't say. Monitor your kids' phones and texting. And you're going to give them a phone. You're going to give them a phone in middle school. Make sure you check what's on their phones periodically.
Yeah, I mean, I know my son isn't going to listen, so I can tell you that I read his phone every single morning before he woke up. My daughter's is not as accessible, but I'm with her all the time, so I see what she's doing. But
It's
I agree.
important.
You got to read these phones because the things, first of all, the lingo is very, it's really different than we used to talk, you know? So there's some stuff that you kind of have to like sift through, but I knew what he was doing. I mean, sorry, that's what you got. And I track my kids on the phone to see where they are all the time. I'm constantly looking at it, but I don't know. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be, but I need to for my own.
I wonder if it's because it's a small town versus like we live in a larger, area, more urban or even a larger rural area. I wonder if it was kind of like because it was such a small town and everybody knows everybody, like, oh, we'll give them phones. Oh, it's not a big deal if they have their phones when they're getting 50 disgusting messages, text messages a day.
They didn't want to change their kids' numbers. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like even if they did, it would have been figured out because it was the mother, but still, like it was just a very strange.
Well, there's a lot of mistakes made here by the parents.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if they were getting help from somebody, I'm pointing fingers at myself right now. If they were getting help from some top professional, they would have been guided into things such as, like I mentioned earlier, taking away physically those phones, because drumroll audience, phones are still a privilege in kids' lives. They're not a necessity. And I deal with this all the time in my practice, where when I say that, parents go, yeah, but I need to communicate. I need to know when to, pick them up from school. No. If you really get to the fundamentals and the root of things, phones are a privilege in a child's life. And that's where by the way, I have to mention our media star, the superintendent, going, well, our policy at the school is not to restrict phones during the school day because, I need my phone all the time.
I work from my phone.
My little office. It's my little office.
My little office.
These are freaking teenagers. They don't need little offices to run around school all day.
The students have to put their phone in a basket, in like a shoe thing when
Big
they walk into
movement
class.
around the country now that's happening, and I applaud it. I don't think phones have a place during school hours. And
remember, we couldn't contact our parents during school. Right. Now we get text messages.
The nurse would call, or the principal, yes, we never could contact one another.
No.
Yeah. Or
how did we ever even date? How did we
stay alive?
Exactly.
Yeah, restricting kids' phones throughout the day is not going to take away their ability to contact their parents.
That's true though.
If I raise my hand, I got to call my mom. I have diarrhea. I just shit on the seat, Well, you go to the counselor's office, get your phone out of hock and call your parents. But yeah, phones shouldn't have a place in schools. I think that was another lesson that is said here.
I just kind of think we're beyond help with that. Like, I think it's already gone too far. So.
Well, again, there's a movement. I'm hearing it more and more that schools are, collecting phones throughout the day. In fact, I have one teacher that I know in a part of the country, a different part of the country, that says it's kind of a pain in the ass, but I have to have a bag and I collect all the kids' phones.
Yeah, it's a pain.
Per class, they're collecting phones. So.
You go to a concert and they get locked. Like you can't have access to your phone. It should be the same way in schools.
And the other thing I want to say about that, another huge cautionary note about this whole thing, and I think a mistake everybody made, whether it's Kendra who was involved, etc. These people should have went more quickly to the police. It took them months of these vile, horrible messages, including the suicidal messages, the kill yourself messages, before they even got that sheriff involved. the ladies and gentlemen, these kinds of things are happening. Go to the authorities. And it's not enough to go to the school principal and the superintendent. And as much as we're, chiding the superintendent, they did vigorously investigate this, and they took it very seriously, which was good to see. They didn't sit on it. They were looking at videotapes, but it wasn't enough. And as a parent, I would have gone to the police much quicker than what happened here. So it's another advice to our audience.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm glad that I have a dog and not kids. I don't have to take my dog's phone away.
Do you have your own dog besides the Fosters?
No, just a foster dog.
Yeah, well, you have Pinky Mouse?
I do, and she did not come with a phone. I'm so excited.
She didn't come with a phone?
No, I'm so happy to say that.
I find that when I'm trying to take some photos of my dog, she looks away. She's like a person. She's like, I don't want a phone in my face taking pictures of me at every second. I want to be a dog.
She's a really cute dog.
Thank you.
Your
she
dog
wants to be a dog.
Just for the audience sake, Stacey brought her dog to our broadcast room here. I will say that dog kind of needs some grooming. That hair is all over the place. Is that how it's supposed to look? Like a
big
it put its paw on an electric.
Yeah, her hair is everywhere because I don't take care of her.
Can't you just comb it down or something like that, or put a little?
Yeah, I could.
How about some nice
gel?
Slick gel.
Well, yeah, like here.
Yeah, her hair is just all wiry and all over the place.
Yeah. She had a really hard day yesterday.
But I think she needs some professional grooming, some Revlon gel or whatever,
Audience, this is Winnie, but I'm not giving you any more information on Winnie and who she is and where she's located.
I think she'd look good with some fake eyelashes too.
Maybe I should put some. Yes.
Stacey, I have a question. Did you do any, because I didn't, did you do any research on Kendra the mother and what she's doing now?
No, I did not. Do you have
She's
any
out
info?
of prison, right? No.
Right.
I have no
She's
idea.
out of prison. And I don't know where she was when she was doing those interviews. Like, was that her house? Like,
it was a nice looking. There was a nice looking house compared to.
It was a really nice space.
Yeah, probably
really nice.
Probably the documentarians, space or something like that. Yeah, again, we talked about it earlier in our broadcast here. Is that it's sad that we don't hear that these people are getting top professional help, because that's what's needed here.
Yeah, I mean, this woman, with some treatment, could live an okay life moving forward, and maybe she can rebuild. But she needs to come to terms with, and it said in one of the things I read about her, that it took her a while to accept what she did and to understand it. And I don't even think she's processed it all yet, because when you're in prison, I don't think they're sitting there going, okay, Kendra, let's unpack this.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of us makes mistakes. Not a single one of us has lived a perfect life. And realistically, a lot of us have probably broke the law at some point or another and not got caught. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm sure people drove drunk, haven't been caught, right? But again, if you get caught, you're in the same situation I'm in, but for a different thing. So I do feel that, people lose sight of that. I know to some, I'm a headline, I'm a villain, I'm a bad mom, I'm a whatever. But that's because they know one little piece of my story. They don't know my whole story.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because another part of the documentary showed texts that Kendra was sending Lauryn, her daughter, Lo.
Oh, that was weird. Those are so weird. And they're like
bombing. The love bombing.
It was love bombing. It was, I love you, my sweetie, my gorgeous face, XOXO kiss. Really gross and sort of like, ugh. Like, I was like, that's creepy.
Yeah.
It's really creepy. And the kid is so manipulated by this whole thing. I think she feels, one more thing. What happened to Lauryn that made her, she just wanted to believe her mom was her mom because she needed her?
Kids, I can't tell you how many cases I have where one comes completely to mind. It's a male who was very much abused by a very, one of our little themes throughout all of our projects. Right-wing Christian weirdo fundamentalist who basically chained this guy up. And also a lot of the Kendra messages, you're stupid, you can amount to anything, et cetera, et cetera. And this young man is in his 20s, I think now, and he just wants to have a relationship with his father, because it's important to have a father in your life. Now, he's totally rejected all the religious stuff and
thank God.
But he's got this need to have a father that's it's so basic inside of us and so socialized.
Yep.
This is what's important,
So it was his father that was abusing him and not his mother?
His father and a stepmother. Yeah. They were like super weird religious people.
Well, as we talked about, a lot of fundamentalist evangelical Christian and Christian nationalists are usually, I've found in my reading, allegedly abusive, and child abuse to them is not a sin. Thank you so much, guys. This has been a great episode. And don't forget, next week, don't miss Keep Sweet, Pray, and Obey while we talk about the Netflix documentary and explore this very, very scary cult.
Thank you to everyone for listening. Our theme music is written and performed by Midnight Current, and you can hear more from them on SoundCloud. Please visit podcandypodcast.com to learn more about us and listen to all of our episodes, or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, audience, can you suggest topics for our show? Do you have any ideas? If you do, please email us at info@podcandypodcast.com.
Pod Candy!